of his head is still showing. Claw at it.
I know. But try to hear me out, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with me here. Come on. So, Denny Hamlin, the guy that's become public enemy #1 in NASCAR within the past half a decade. He's also the guy that constantly gets ragged on for not having a NASCAR Cup Series championship. To be honest, that's the only thing people can say about the guy at this point. The no championship jokes have kind of become redundant. However, Denny doesn't help himself when he constantly tries to make everyone believe that this is the year. Come on, Denny, say the line. It's our year. Then, after he doesn't win the title, he gets memed and it's rinse and repeat every year. What's kind of funny about that is the same people that make fun of Denny for not having a Cup championship are the same ones that cry about Mark Martin, Carl Edwards, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. not having one. People will point out that those guys are likable, which is why most fans feel sorry for those guys for not having a championship to their name. I can admit, Denny Hamlin can be irritating at times. There's moments where he hasn't handled himself in the most mature manner. He says some foolish things that didn't age well, like saying Brad Keselowski wouldn't amount to anything, and now here he is with 30+ career wins, a championship, which Denny doesn't have, and a new team owner that's building a team back up that's been down in the dumps for about a decade. Trust me, I have acknowledged all of that about Denny Hamlin. But even with some of the stuff he's said and done over the years, I don't wish him any failure. As a matter of fact, I gained a ton of respect for him over the years for a multitude of reasons. There's just too much there to just gloss over, and I feel like a lot of fans don't see it. Not right now, at least. And I don't want it to be one of those cases where people start to respect him after he's done driving, or if he steps away from the NASCAR landscape all of a sudden, or after he's no longer living. Why not just acknowledge what he's doing now for the sport, because you can definitely see it. And speaking of acknowledging someone, I think about what Roman Reigns said about himself, and it can be applied to Denny Hamlin too.
Respect my work, respect what I do for this business. Give me my flowers, now, not when I'm gone.
We know him today as the guy that speaks his mind and has embraced being the villain in NASCAR, but years ago, Denny was a guy that nobody really paid attention to. Even with him being a championship threat right from the jump, he wasn't getting hyped up like a Casey Kane or Carl Edwards. He flew under the radar. He was neutral of how he was perceived and didn't really speak his mind. You got a couple of hot mic quotes from him every now and then, but he was usually kinda quiet for the most part. For the first couple of years of his career at least.
I said one word to him, I asked him to come over and talk to me, and he chose to slap my helmet, and that, I have short fuse, don't do that. So
now the two drivers are going at it, Kyle.
Yeah, and you see Kevin gets out of the car. Kevin was in the car. Kevin got out of the car to come say something to Denny, because Denny was really talking to Gil. Gil did a great job.
Just an absolute hack. He gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's fucking terrible.
A lot of booze out there.
Hey, I beat your favorite driver.
Now that is the Denny we all know. When I say that Denny speaks his mind, he doesn't hold back at all, and he's kinda on the island alone because a lot of these young guys ain't about to speak up, and then there's guys like Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch who aren't nowhere near as vocal as they used to be. With that, I guess you could say Denny Hamlin is the CM Punk of NASCAR, the voice of the voiceless. What's also kind of funny is that Denny may be the villain, but he's willing to do more for the sport of NASCAR, unlike the people's champion. Denny isn't about to turn anything down, and if he's gonna do something, he wants to be front and center. I look at that NASCAR show on Netflix. No, not this weak ass shit. I'm talking about Full Speed, which is a documentary series that follows the top drivers in NASCAR, and I swear, Denny is the main character on that series. He is far from shy when it comes to speaking, and when you sit down and watch this show, you're gonna hear from him the most, which to be honest isn't a bad thing because it's entertaining whenever he speaks. Those who speak out on things usually wants to see whatever that is thrive, and Denny wants to see NASCAR do just that. And if you're a fan of this sport, you gotta appreciate someone that's willing to speak up about the many areas of NASCAR. Most of the things we complain about and want to see changed is what Denny fights for every day. Now, is this dude always right about things? No. But at least he's willing to give his opinion on whatever that is. It's almost like this guy needs a podcast or something. Well, he has just that, titled Actions Detrimental, which is definitely very fitting. And believe it or not, this wasn't Denny's idea. It was actually Dale Jr. that pitched the idea to Denny about starting his own podcast because Jr. feels that Denny is misunderstood by many, which I can kind of agree on. So why not give him a platform where he can sit there and be articulate with his thoughts about things and hope the public comes away with a better understanding of where he's coming from, no matter what he's talking about. And Hamlin doesn't just talk out his ass on this podcast, he actually does a great job educating the listeners about everything NASCAR. One of those things is the business side of the sport, and he would definitely know a ton about that because, well, he's a team owner. In 2021, Denny Hamlin made a splash into an ownership role in NASCAR, and he made waves when he announced it because of who he was sharing ownership with, and that would be Michael Jordan. Not Michael B. Jordan, this Michael Jordan. One of the greatest basketball players of all time is coming into NASCAR as an owner, and this isn't MJ just stamping his name on a team and that's it. He's all in. He attends a lot of the races, sitting on the pit box, listening to the team communication so he can know what's going on. He attends the 2311 team meetings, and whatever he thinks is right for the team, he's willing to spend the money. Having Michael Jordan presence in NASCAR is a privilege, and we need to thank Denny Hamlin for that because he talked MJ into doing this. This is a very fun team to follow, not just because of Michael Jordan involvement, but they're also very flashy in everything they do. They're changing the game and it's exciting to see. Something that gets lost about this organization is how it was built up. Denny didn't purchase an existing organization, he built 2311 Racing from the ground up. Yes, they had TRD support from the jump, but other than that, they built this team up from scratch. They don't have the best pit crew members. A lot of the guys that go over the wall for that team are B tier. It took them 3.5 years to get a headquarters built, which by the way, shits on every other race shop. Denny said it would be 5 years until this team is truly competing for a championship, and they might end up being ahead of schedule with how the way things are looking. They're getting better every year, and if this team can end up winning a championship, that would be huge for the sport. Denny Hamlin starting a team is him giving back to the sport, and how the way he's running this team is different from how other organizations run theirs. He's a very ambitious owner, and with that, he's willing to take the risk and push it to change the business model of NASCAR. This is what makes him one of the most interesting owners in NASCAR currently. I'm hoping to see more of his vision become a reality as he continues to run 2311. I want to talk about the many rivalries Denny Hamlin has been part of, and you're probably sitting there asking, why bring up his rivalries in a video like this? Well, let me answer that. Rivalries in sport just adds a little extra spice to the show. You're definitely more intrigued as a viewer. It draws attention, and that's good for the sport. When it comes to Denny Hamlin, he's been part of some very entertaining rivalries that will go down in NASCAR history as some of the best. He's had his run-ins with Kevin Harvick, Kyle Petty, and that awkward interaction with Danica Patrick, but these never amounted to anything big. But I can think of a few that did. The first is his rivalry with Joey Logano. Denny has always been a guy that runs at the front, and for Logano, that wasn't the case for the first couple of years of his career. Then he goes to Penske and is right there with Hamlin now. Hamlin got into Joey at the spring Bristol race and it ended Logano's day. Then this carried over to Auto Club. Here's the best part of the rivalry that is so remembered. We saw a badass battle for the lead between these two, and they got so caught up in trying to beat each other that they didn't see Kyle Busch rolling up, who slid past both of them. Logano throttles up, gets into Hamlin, which got Hamlin's car out of control, and unfortunately he hit a wall with no safety barrier, which injured Denny and pretty much ruined his 2013 season. They had another run-in years later at Martinsville and got into not a fight but a shoving match, and yeah, whatever, it's not a fight, but we got a spot on Joey Logano impression from Denny at least.
He would probably say, short track racing.
There's also the rivalry between Denny Hamlin and the People's Champion Chase Elliott. Yes, he's the big villain in NASCAR currently, but how did he gain that status? By wrecking the most popular driver in 2017. Yeah, when you do that, you're going to be public enemy number one for a good ass minute. Just ask Kyle Busch. Hamlin clearly got in the back of Chase at the fall 2017 Martinsville race, and around this time, Chase Elliott was looking for his first career win. After Hamlin dumped him, it just added to the frustration for many Elliott fans. You had fans trying to fight Denny after the race, and there was so much blowback towards Denny that he needed security to escort him out the track. This carried over to the next race, and we all know what happened to Hamlin. Elliott ran the 11 up the track, he makes contact with the wall and then blows a tire and goes straight into the wall. That wasn't the last of this rivalry though. In the 2023 Coca-Cola 600, Hamlin puts Chase Elliott in the wall, and Mr. Popular didn't appreciate that, so he just right hooks the 11. Hamlin was extremely pissed off, and rightfully so. Hamlin called for Elliott to get suspended, and believe it or not, he actually did. Will these two get into it again in the future? The hero versus the villain? We shall see. But my favorite Denny rivalry is with the Watermelon Man, Ross Chastain. If this isn't the most Tom and Jerry like rivalry that I ever seen. If you're not familiar with Tom and Jerry, it's an old ass cartoon where you got this cat and mouse basically trying to torture each other every episode. Tom is the cat, Jerry is the mouse. When it comes to the Denny and Ross rivalry, Denny is Tom and Ross is Jerry because Ross always comes out on top just like Jerry, and it's some of the funniest shit ever. Denny fucked with Ross at Gateway after Ross wrecked him early on, but Ross proceeded to finish 8th anyway. Denny ran Ross up the track on a restart at Pocono, and Ross ends up in the wall and wrecked. Denny goes on to win until he didn't. The win got taken away because of some tape, and Ross finishes ahead of him anyway. Denny was on his way to the Final Four in 2022, and then Ross ends up wall riding turns 3 and 4, gets the points he needed to advance to the Final Four while Denny misses the championship round because of that. This rivalry was the highlight for all of 2022, and it was still in the show again at the start of 2023, but they seem to have buried the hatchet for now. But damn, that was some good shit. Rivalries like these are memorable and it brings out passion in the fan base, and Denny Hamlin within the past decade has been a big part of bringing out that passion in the fan base. Well, here we are where I just talk about how damn good he is as a race car driver. He has no championship ring. Yeah, stop saying that for a minute and listen to this. 50 plus Cup Series career wins, 3 Daytona 500s, a Southern 500, Coca-Cola 600, and a Bristol Night Race winner. He's gone only one season where he went winless, and while yes, he has no championships, he has competed for many championships over the years. And when I say that, I'm talking about how he's been in it to win the whole prize when race 36 gets here. People claim that Hamlin is a choke artist, like he constantly chokes championships away. I'm sorry, but the last time I checked, he only choked once, and that was in 2010. Every other time it's been shit that's been out of his control. How can you say he choked when something on the car breaks or his team screws him out of a championship? That's not him choking. I also want to bring up how Hamlin is probably the most injury prone driver in NASCAR history and still remains to be very competitive. We've seen plenty of drivers get injured over the years and not be the same driver they once were, which is very unfortunate, but with Hamlin, he suffered many injuries, went through so many surgeries, and here he is still performing at a top tier level. So with all that being said, I will hope people can start to give this guy his flowers and do it now. Is this a video telling you why you should be a Denny Hamlin fan? No, I just want people to acknowledge what he's done for the sport and put some respect on his name. I know he ain't the most likable guy out there, and yes, he's probably never going to win a championship, and if he doesn't, are people really going to hang that above his head for the rest of his life? Can everybody acknowledge all of his other accomplishments instead of crapping on him for not having a championship? This dude can go on to win 10 Cup Series championships as an owner, and I bet you'll still have someone that will say, yeah, that's cool and all, but he never won a championship as a driver. At that point, it's like, alright man, I don't want to hear from you. I think it's some people that realize how good Hamlin is as a race car driver, and then there's the people that appreciate his off-track affairs. I personally think he should be respected for everything on and off the track. He's vocal, he's entertaining, he brings the passion out in the fans, and he's changing the game when it comes to ownership in NASCAR. This man has and will continue to do a lot for the sport we all love, but it's a lot of people that just don't see it. Until then, I expect Denny Hamlin to keep delivering for the sport of NASCAR, and maybe one day, he'll be respected as a whole.